let's think about what they're saying. What matters here is this woman's experience of being touched, hugged, nuzzled, whatever. I don't like this either. I don't like being hugged. I don't like the fact that people hug me all the time when I see them. I don't. I really don't. Men hug me, women hug me. I don't like it. They do it all the time. I'm a private person. I like to shake hands, say hello, but I do it constantly. Whenever I go places, people want to take pictures with me. They put their arms around me. I put their arm, I do it, right? I don't talk about my experience. Why not? Why not? Because it's different for a man. It's different for a man. Women's experience of being touched is different than a man's experience of being touched, right? Why? Women's bodies play different roles in our sexual experience. In our sexual exchange, a woman's body has a different role than a man's body. Maybe it's the role of being attracted. Thomas Mann talks about this in the Magic Mountain. He talks about the fact that if you think about it, it's kind of strange that women use parts of their body as part of their clothes. Men don't do that, right? Women, expose arms, cleavage, all kinds of things as part of their clothing. It's part of their decoration because they realize they are attractive to men and men are attracted to women, right? That is the way it works. So what about men then? If women's role is to be attractive, if women have a different role in the sexual mating experience, and part of that role is to attract, and men are being attracted by the law divine, if that's the machinery of the law divine, and if women want men to respect them as well they shouldn't women respect the feelings of men as well? If men have this kind of supercharged feeling of attraction, wouldn't it be nice if women would just be a little bit careful about that, have a little bit respect for that, so that men would have a different experience walking around than they do? I'm thinking of a Catholic mother who wrote a letter to the Observer, which a paper that serves Notre Dame University, St. Mary's and Holy Cross. And she asked the women of Notre Dame to reconsider wearing leggings, tight leggings, because they cling to the body. And this Catholic mother of 4 sons, says, I was at Mass at the Basilica with my family. In front of us was a group of young women all wearing very snug-fitting leggings and all wearing short-waisted tops so that the lower body was uncovered except for the leggings. Some of them truly looked as though the leggings had been painted on them. And she says, a world in which women continue to be depicted as babes by movies, video games, music videos, etc., makes it hard on Catholic mothers who are trying to teach their sons that women are someone's daughters and sisters, that women should be viewed first as people, and all people should be considered with respect. She says, I wonder why no one thinks it's strange that the fashion industry has caused women to voluntarily expose their nether regions in this way. I was ashamed for the young women at Mass. I thought of all the other men around and behind us who couldn't help but see them. My sons know better than to ogle them. They didn't stare and they didn't comment, but you couldn't help but see them. So she says, she finishes up, she says, I've heard women say that they like leggings because they're comfortable. She says, so are pajamas, so is nakedness. And the human body is a beautiful thing, but we don't go around naked because we respect ourselves. We want to be seen as a person, not a body. You have every right to wear leggings, but you have every right to choose not to. Thanks for listening to the lecture. Catholic moms are good at those. Take one guess at the reaction of the students of Notre Dame. 1,300 of them poured out to protest this letter from a Catholic mom and declare their women and men's equalities and their right to wear leggings, which obviously she never challenged. Valerie Mora, a PhD student, wrote a letter saying, do this woman's sons feel like failures on some level if they experience a sexual urge? Are they ashamed when they feel attracted to someone? Have they let down their mom who's working so hard to protect them from the temptations of female flesh? The very fact that women wear leggings, you never see men wearing tight, you do in LA, but nowhere else do you see men wearing these tight leggings to show off their backsides, right? The very fact that women wear leggings tells you something. The female body is made to attract. It's not just randomly attractive. It is made to attract men, right? This is what Thomas Mann was writing about when he talked about this. And it was something that actually, even before I reread Magic Mountain and noticed this passage, I hadn't noticed it the first time, it was something I had thought about as well, that it's interesting. It's interesting that part of a woman's clothing is her body. When she wears a skirt, her legs are part of her clothing. It's part of her attraction. She knows it, right? So Men must have this powerful sense of attraction. We all know of attraction. We all know they do. Last time I said it, people wrote in and said I was forgiving people for attacking women, which is obviously not the case. I'm just saying, is it so bad if women are asking us to respect them, as we should, is it so bad for them to ask us to respect our experience for the world? Shouldn't they humanize their loveliness a little bit so that what we're not thinking all the time is, wow, look at that babe, look at the legs on that babe. I mean, shouldn't they have a little bit of understanding of what our experience is, not because we're not responsible for ourselves. We're responsible for our actions. Joe Biden is responsible for his actions. But if the internal experience of a woman being touched by Joe Biden is what matters and not his intentions, why isn't that true of men as well? Why isn't it true of where they put their eyes, for instance? The entire sexual world of the left is imaginary. They want to imagine away the reality of what things are like and where our morals come from and why we say the things we say, why we restrict ourselves, why we want people to dress in a decent way. Now, I can't prove this, but I started talking at the opening of the show about the fact that people aren't mating anymore. Now, it may be a good thing. I think it is a good thing if young people aren't having sex out of wedlock. I think that's probably a good thing, a safer thing. As I've said before, when you go and visit a prison, every cell has a fatherless child in it, every single one. It's a good thing that people are having fewer abortions, having fewer unwanted pregnancies. It's not a good thing that young people, 18 to 34, that's not that young. It's not a good thing that they're not getting married. It's not a good thing that they're not mating, that they're not pairing up. Nothing in the world is single. All things by a law divine in one spirit meet and mingle. Why? Because that's the way the world is made. That's the way humanity is made. Maybe nobody explained this to you, but that's where babies come from. You want people getting married. You want them getting married at a youthful age when they can still safely have babies. And I can't prove this, but I have to say, I think one of the reasons this is happening is the left has created a framework that removes sex from the human experience. It removes it from the moral experience. It removes it from the sexual experience of men and women, being like they are. The old habits we had of opening doors for women, of women dressing in a modest way. Those are all things, those are one of those walls you shouldn't tear down maybe before you find out what's on the other side of it. Because once you remove the human framework of sex, maybe it's not as much fun as people told you it was. Maybe you can do that with pornography easier than you can do it in real life. Maybe when you get into real life and sex is only a single part of the human experience of relationship, then it becomes complex. Then it becomes interesting. But then also you have to start talking about differences. You have to start talking about what men are like. You have to start talking about what women are like. They don't even want to talk about that. Teen Vogue has a video out now. This is Teen Vogue, where I assume some teens still go to find out, or sub-teens still go to find out what life is like and what life is like. And they have a video saying that binary, the idea that there are men and women, the idea that those are the two different kinds of people, that's ridiculous. Here's a piece.
Hi, I'm Hannah Gabby, and I'm here to tell you that binary is bullshit.
Sex typically refers to your biological traits.
There's your gonads, your genitalia, your internal sex characteristics, your hormone production, hormone response, and secondary sex characteristics.
Gender is about your identity, your expression, and it's often based on ideas about sex.
It's important that we really break down what are we talking about when we talk about sex and gender, and is there something called biological sex, and what does that mean?
This idea that the body is either male or female is totally wrong. And I am living proof of that.
We know intersex people exist and break down this binary.
We all have characteristics that are typically male and typically female. And it is really about political choices, social factors, ideological choices that we assign meaning to different parts of our body.
It's utter nonsense. It's utter nonsense. Look, some people are born deformed. Some people are born with one leg, but human beings have two legs. Human beings have two genders. They have two sexes. Are some people born uncomfortable with this gender they're born with? Yes, that of course they are. I feel sympathy for them. I truly do. But that doesn't change the central point of human life. The sex difference is a human universal. There is no such thing. We have the closest thing to a society that does not divide the labor of men and women. Every society that has ever existed divides the labor of men and women differently. Every society has an idea of the yin and yang. Every society has a creation story that includes both the creation of men and women. You know, without sex, as I say, no humanity. And when you take sex outside of the human experience, outside of the moral experience, outside of the internal experience, you've taken it out of life. You've removed its actual reason for being, except the dumb pleasure that you can get with pornography just as easily. And